Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from New Hampshire Public Radio. This was published on October 16th, written by Todd Bookman, and all I got to say is about fucking time. New Hampshire announces it will sue Massachusetts over cross-border income tax collections. See, this is the great thing about having Chris Sununu in office. If this was like, say, the days of Shaheen or another Democrat in office, they would not do this because they don't want to fuck Massachusetts. What's funny is every time a Democrat comes in and manages to become governor or whatever in New Hampshire, okay, the first thing they try to do is enact a sales tax and an income tax. All right, sales tax first. And the reason why is because every other state around us has a sales tax. So you have all these people that jump the Vermont border, the Maine border, the Massachusetts border. Well, all the fucking masshole politicians don't like the fact that people come to New Hampshire, buy stuff tax-free, don't report their purchases, and don't pay tax on it. So they'll come and buy a big ticket item like a TV, computer, whatever. And they're getting pissed about it. So these Democrat lackeys that are buddy with them that managed to get into a position like Shaheen tried this. She tried a 5% sales tax. We went, fuck you. She tried a 2.5% sales tax, figuring, well, 2.5% will deter some people. And it'll appease her masshole buddies. We said, fuck you. The guy who's running against Chris Sununu wants an income and a sales tax. Fuck you. Well, Massachusetts, not liking the fact that you get all these people telecommuting, and when they're working at home, they're in New Hampshire, they're based in New Hampshire, they don't have to pay income tax. Well, Massachusetts wants them to pay fucking income tax when they're working in New Hampshire. And a Democrat like Shaheen, if she was still governor, or some other Democrat like the shitbrick that's running against Sununu was, they'd allow for them. They would not stand up and go, no, fuck you. You are not taxing our residents for work that they're not doing in your state. They wouldn't do that. Sununu, on the other hand, look it. Doing it right here. It's going to sue Massachusetts over their cross-border income tax collections. Because these people aren't working in Massachusetts during that time. Fuck them. A lot of these people that are telecommuting are home every fucking day. Why the hell should they be paying 5% when they're working 5 days a week from home? Or even 3 days a week. Those days they're working from home. They're not based in Massachusetts. Fuck Mass. All right? But they're the typical Democrat fucking run shithole state. They've ran themselves into a point, financially, where they're in debt so bad that they are willing to steal from people like this and call it legitimate friggin' tax collection. Let's get into the article here. The state of New Hampshire announced Friday it will file a federal lawsuit against Massachusetts over its cross-border income tax collection policies during the pandemic. You mean changing the policy to where they won't go, fuck you, I want my money. Fuck you, pay me. Fuck you, pay me. I don't work in Massachusetts. Fuck you, pay me. That's what they're doing here. And they're assessing this tax. And they're sending out a tax bill or on the tax return. They're just deducting it. When these people, well, in a lot of cases, I'm sure they're deducting it. But these people are in New Hampshire. So they don't like the fact that because of the pandemic, they ain't making money. Deal with it. The lawsuit centers on a Massachusetts emergency provision that caps how much income out-of-state residents who work for Massachusetts-based companies can deduct on their income taxes while working remotely. Yeah, so basically, they're saying, well, even though you might be working 5 days a week from home, fuck you, pay me. You're working 4 days a week from home, fuck you, pay me. That's what this is. They don't have the right to do it. They thought they could get away with it. I mean, Massachusetts thinks that they can always pull shit with New Hampshire. And I got to give my state credit because over the years, they've shown Massachusetts not to fuck with us. The people in charge here. You know, they didn't like the fact that people were going across the border and going to the New Hampshire State Liquor Store where, unlike in a lot of cases when, you know, a government runs something, shit's actually way cheaper. Alcohol in New Hampshire is dirt cheap. Well, compared to, like, say, Massachusetts, Maine, and Vermont. And it's because the state runs the liquor industry. Well, they didn't like the fact that people were going across the border. So they were literally having cops cross into New Hampshire along the border, monitoring people going into the liquor store. They were then following them back across the border and arresting them for bootlegging and shit like that. So they were operating as law enforcement under the supposed color of law, which they did not have, being out of their jurisdiction, and arresting people. So what do? The local cops in the border towns, the sheriff's departments in the counties bordering the town, bordering Massachusetts, the state police, the town governments, the local police all got together and they started arresting all the mass cops, all the cops from across the border that were in the local cops that were part of this operation, the state police that were state troopers that were part of it, just started arresting them for, like, you know, impersonating a police officer, shit like that. Yeah. Massachusetts tried to cry foul. This is the same type of situation. But once they started having their cops arrested, they cut the shit. They tried it again a couple times, and every time the cops got arrested. And they tried to go, oh, foul, no fair. Well, I want to see them try to pull that with this one. Because they're going to. Because this is some seriously fucked up shady shit. You're working from home and they're saying, oh, well, you can only deduct 1 day. If you're working from home 5 days, well, you can only say you're working from home 1 day. That's not right. I'm not saying it's like that, but if they're capping how many days you got, you know that they're only going to give you like a couple days of not paying mass tax. Even then, I'm sure they did that to try to say, look, we're impartial. We're not trying to fuck the people over. Despite receiving complaints from New Hampshire elected officials, Massachusetts issued a public notification earlier Friday that it would extend the controversial policy through at least the end of the calendar year. Yes, because they're hurting for fucking money, because Massachusetts, being the typical shithole blue state that it is, spends more money than it takes in. You should see what they've done on the note of vaping, because they ain't getting their tobacco master settlement money in like they need. Yeah. They're real shady fucks. Anything for a buck. I'm sure they'll suck and fuck too for it. The policy negatively affects tens of thousands of New Hampshire residents who previously commuted across the state's southern border for work, but are now working from home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Commonwealth has launched a direct attack on the New Hampshire Advantage, attempting to pick the pockets of our citizens, said Governor Chris Sununu in a statement. We are going to fight this unconstitutional attempt to tax our citizens every step of the way, and we are going to win. And he will, because this is not right. Legally, they have no power to tax someone working in another fucking state. If they say, worked in Massachusetts and lived in New Hampshire, yes. But that's about it. If they worked in Connecticut and lived in Massachusetts, yes, Connecticut gets their cut and Mass gets their cut. But if they're working in New Hampshire, Mass don't get a cut. Fuck them. New Hampshire's Attorney General is scheduled to file a lawsuit next week with the expectation the case will ultimately be settled by the U.S. Supreme Court. Probably. Earlier this year, Congressman Chris Pappas filed federal legislation seeking to ban cross-border income tax collections. Yes. That's the way it should be. If I work in Massachusetts, but I live in New Hampshire, okay, fine. Yeah. But if I work in New Hampshire, you ain't getting money from me. Screw you. But they don't understand that. Massachusetts got their hand out going, fuck you, pay me. At a time when many New Hampshire residents are teleworking from home in order to keep their families and communities safe, it is completely unfair for Massachusetts to levy an income tax on these workers, said Pappas. As I've said before, we aren't going down without a fight on this. The long arm of the Massachusetts tax collector should not be reaching into New Hampshire residents' wallets. Yes, exactly. Massachusetts previously allowed out-of-state residents who worked for Massachusetts-based entities to deduct whatever portion of their income was derived while working from home. Yeah. Because they knew that there's a case that they would lose, because you can have people that are telecommuting, say 5 days a week before the pandemic. They knew if they tried to collect tax money from those people sued, saying, hey, I work in New Hampshire. They would probably lose. But now they're getting fucking greedy, so they're getting careless. They don't give a shit. So they're going to risk it. In practice, this meant a worker who commuted 4 days a week but worked from home 1 day a week could reduce their taxable income by 20%. And on the same note, if you've got someone telecommuting 3 days a week out of 5, that's 60%. Massachusetts going, fuck us. We're losing a lot of money right now because of all these telecommuters. But here's the biggest kicker about this. They're the ones who locked down their fucking state like this. They're the ones who have prevented these people from going back to fucking work. They created the situation they are in. And what's funny is they're like, well, New Hampshire won't lock their stuff down. Oh, they're going to cause our cases to go up. You locked everything down. You've got a lot of people not working. Your case count with the virus is complete and total shit. Okay? It is the worst in New England. And you wanted to blame New Hampshire when your fucking border jumping assholes trying to get tax-free shopping in during a fucking emergency type situation, saving 5% on sales tax, spread it here more so than the other way around, way more. If you really wanted to control the spread of the virus, you would have suspended the sales tax. Just a fucking thought, because that would have stopped people from crossing the border into New Hampshire. Just a thought. But you see, you're all about your tax revenue, which is why you pulled this shit and you're now getting sued. This spring, the state revised the policy to cap deductions at the proportion of time spent working remotely before the pandemic, meaning if an employee is now working from home 5 days a week instead of just a single day per week, they can still only deduct 20% of their income, which is complete horse shit. If you are not working in fucking Massachusetts 5 days a week, and you're working in New Hampshire those 5 days from home, that means they shouldn't get a goddamn dime. They don't give a shit, though. They don't care if they're violating people's, rights or, the law or anything like that, or the fact that, hey, we're going to tax people that aren't even working in our fucking state. It's ridiculous. Other states include New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania have enacted similar cross-border income tax rules. Yes, and they should all be sued for it. Because if you've got someone working in another state, they should not be paying income tax. Because I just talked about sales tax earlier. But they should not be paying income tax. Period. To that state if they're not working in it. End of story. Massachusetts can get bent. Pennsylvania can get bent. New York definitely get bent. New Jersey get bent. All of you. Go to hell. Fuck you. I hope this shit really backfires on you. Because I don't think Sununu's going to let it fucking lie. I think he'll take it all the way to the Supreme Court the way they're talking. He will. That'll go over real fucking well. Morning for you. Massachusetts has declined to release information about how much tax revenue the rule change is likely to generate. The Department of Revenue's extension of policy runs through December 31st, 2020, but could be extended. Yes, it's going to go on forever and ever and ever. And the thing is, they're trying to make it sound like that you got to love public radio, NPR, New Hampshire Public Radio, National Public Radio. I mean, it's like PBS. It's the same fucking shit. They're all fucking far lefties over there. And they're trying to spin it at the end here. Decline to release information about how much tax revenue the rule change is likely to generate. It's not going to generate fucking income. This is about keeping the income the same. It's not about generating more income. This is about the fact of they're losing taxable income. Large chunk of taxable fucking income because you have all these people telecommuting. And if they're telecommuting 5 days a week, they lose money. So they're saying, hey, you can only claim what you were claiming before. So what if someone wasn't telecommuting before this point? This wasn't even addressed here. From what the sound of it is, someone who has been working, 5 days a week down there in Boston or, one of the surrounding cities. Oh, excuse me. If they're working 5 days a week and then they have to telecommute now and they're home 5 days a week, they're still collecting the money for all 5 days a week as if they were working in Massachusetts. How is that remotely fucking right? Because their policy only covers if someone was telecommuting from home before. If they now started to telecommute, now they're looking at the fact of they ain't going to get any deduction off of it. There's no way. Massachusetts worded it this way, almost definitely, to specifically stop that. And they did it the other way to make it look, see, we're being fair. They were already doing 1 day a week from home. What about all the people that weren't, that are now working from home? Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.